Every time Mom goes to school, breakfast is late.
What's she doing at school?
Talk to the teacher.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
Nothing. They just discuss me.
Discuss you?
Well, I don't know.
Now there are two authorities in their lives, parents and teachers, and they are the ones who map out the paths of these new members of society. Theirs is a mutual responsibility, no matter how separate their functions. They guide and instruct, each in his own way, and each contributes to the process of education. The child is in the middle, but do they always work together?
So I finally got her to come to school this afternoon.
Well, you'll just have to tell her what you told me. Tell her about his behavior in class, and then see if she has any suggestions.
It isn't as easy as all that, though. I went to the home once, and when I told her about Richard, she felt personally criticized and sidetracked the whole issue. She wouldn't discuss his home life. You see, she feels that what goes on in the classroom is strictly the teacher's responsibility, and the home has nothing to do with it. Now, I wonder if I couldn't...
For better or for worse, they take their home along to school, just as they take school back home with them. That's why, in this business of education, parents and teachers must be partners.
What is it?
Are you all through, Martha?
These people are me and my brother. We are waiting for my mother to come home. My grandmother is inside, but you can't see her. I don't think I'll finish it.
What a nice picture that is. Now, why don't you finish it, and we'll write under it all the things you've told me.
Good morning. Is the principal in?
Yes, she is. Go right in.
Thank you.
Come in.
Excuse me, Mrs. Kindred. I'm Mr. Benton.
Good morning, Mr. Benton. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. My daughter Martha has forgotten her lunch again. I didn't notice it until I'd reached the university. Such an irresponsible child to give us this much trouble. This is the third time she's done it. I'll have to do something about it.
I know, Martha. She's in the second grade, isn't she? Well, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Children at this age often have short memories. I'll see that she gets her lunch.
Thank you.
I'll have it sent over right away.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, Mr. Benton, would you like the bill for Martha's cafeteria lunches last week?
Cafeteria lunches? Why, she's taken her lunch every day for a month. What does she do with it? Does she have to eat too?
Perhaps that's it. Children of this age have amazing appetites, you know. I'll see that she gets her lunch.
Well, thank you.
Seems impossible, doesn't it? She's such a small child.
You know, I don't think she could eat 2 lunches.
Is she a very active child?
No, she isn't. And she's kept quite a bit to herself recently. The other children like her, though. I think I'll watch her play for a while.
Yes, why don't you?
Well, what do you know about that? I've never had that happen before. What does it mean? Of course, this is the answer to the 2 lunches. But what does it mean? Maybe she doesn't like her sandwiches. Remember what Mrs. Kindred said about her forgetting her lunches. I wonder, is she forgetting them, or is she leaving them on purpose? And then there's her daydreaming. No, she doesn't want to mix with them. That's obvious. What did we discuss in that last conference with the Bentons?
It was a routine conference on one of those days set aside for the parents. She had been talking to them all morning. They didn't come to discuss problems. Usually there aren't any real problems. Martha certainly wasn't a problem child. It was just a matter of meeting and exchanging information and maybe to prevent the development of problems. She told them then that Martha was a bright child and that she wasn't doing as well as might be expected from a child of her intelligence, and that this had developed recently. She had made a note that Martha had fallen behind in her reading and that she seemed to be withdrawing from the group. Then she told them what they were doing in class. She showed them the books they were reading and some of Martha's nice paintings and a sample of her handwriting in which she was very good. Then she went back to her weaknesses. She was looking for clues. She tried to encourage them to talk. Does Martha eat a normal diet? Does she get regular hours of sleep? Had there been any irregularities in their home life? The Bentons said that everything was normal, that nothing had changed. Then they decided that Martha would bring home some books from the library so that her parents could listen to her read. She also suggested that they observe her playmates at home and sort of watch for anything which might be a disturbing influence. She felt that something was troubling the child. But there isn't anything unusual about that. All children are troubled occasionally. It was just a regular conference. She felt that it was a good one. She was able to tell them something about their child which they didn't know and couldn't know. She felt that together, maybe, they could help her get over her difficulty, whatever it was.
But her reading hasn't improved, and the Bentons haven't contacted me. Now, where am I? I'm sure I don't know. I'll have to talk to Mrs. Kindred. Maybe she can help me.
She told Mrs. Kindred all she knew about Martha. Mrs. Kindred asked about the conference, and she told her about that. Then she mentioned Martha's paintings, most of them about her family. Mrs. Kindred was immediately interested. She wanted to see them, and they went to her room right away.
This is her most recent picture. In fact, she just finished it this morning.
No door.
And a high, tight fence. No way in and no way out.
This child is trying to tell us something. I feel sure.
This is another family picture. This one puzzled me. You know, Mrs. Benton is really a blonde like her son. What is she trying to tell us?
This is our family. My grandmother is not here because she is really not our family. I don't think we'll find the answer here at school. Did you notice the grandmother, though? She was in every picture, yet we never saw her.
That's right. I shall have to speak to the Bentons.
Yes, I think you should. And find out about the grandmother.
I certainly will.
I simply don't understand it. Throwing her lunch away. It's dishonest. Honesty is one thing I insist on in our family. It's the basis of living. Dishonesty must be punished. Why should my child develop this deceit?
Mr. Benton, we believe there's something Martha's trying to say. Perhaps she only feels it. This lunch matter may be part of it. And we've made other observations, but we don't understand her. Perhaps together we can get at the bottom of this. Would you tell me something about your family, how you live, and anything special you think might affect Martha?
Well, all right. Both of our children were born after I returned from the service. I'd been gone a long time, and things had changed a lot. I wanted to return to school, prepare for a professional career. I'm a chemist. Last year I came out here to study. About 3 months ago, my wife started to work. Now that her mother has come out to take care of the children, she didn't want to leave the children for so many hours, but after all, we need the money. It's for my family until I can get established. And my wife's mother is a wonderful woman. Well, I don't know what else I can tell you, except that we are a devoted family. We're also a religious family. We all go to church. The children learned to say their prayers when they were just babies. Why, for the past year, Martha has prayed for her grandmother to come to join us.
Yours sounds like a wonderful family. I can understand how this deceit of Martha's must disturb you. May I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Who prepares Martha's lunch?
Her grandmother does. She does a fine job with the children.
I see. Mr. Benton, may I suggest that you wait a day or two with the punishment? I'd like to think a little bit more about Martha. We'll start on this, and I shall call you very soon.
Well, but this has to be brought out into the open.
I'll call you very soon, Mr. Benton.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Hello, Martha.
Hello.
Martha, you know you've never told me about your little brother. Do you like to play with him?
Yes, I like him.
Do you like to play with the other children here at school?
Yes,
Then why aren't you playing with them?
'cause I don't want to.
Your daddy says that you go to church and that you say your prayers every night. Is that so?
I'll never, never say a prayer again.
Yes. I think I see it now. No door from which to escape. A high fence holding them all inside, waiting for her mother to come home. She wants her mother so much that in her mind they are one and the same, down to the dress and the color of hair. But someone stands between her and her mother. Someone whose arrival she had prayed for. The grandmother.
I'll never, never say a prayer again.
You see, all this adds up to what we believe Martha's trying to tell us. That she's afraid of losing her mother.
Well, we never did like the idea of my being away so much, but everything seemed to be the same as before. She never said anything.
She didn't say it in so many words, that's true, but she did say it in her own way, through her behavior, and through her paintings, and through her lunchbox.
Well, what do you suggest we do now?
The first thing I believe is this. If it's at all possible, Mrs. Benton, you should try and devote more time to the child.
Well, I could stay home on Saturdays, I guess. We should be able to manage that, don't you think?
Yes, I think so.
Perhaps you could find work on Saturdays or evenings to make up for it.
Yes, I suppose that could be arranged. If only we'd known about
In this case, what had looked like deceit to the parents was really but the child saying what she did not know how to say otherwise. Punishment was averted, and luckily so. It would only have served to drive Martha's feelings underground, there to do more serious damage. The conference had enabled the teacher to recognize the child's conflict and the parents to plan for a remedy. It had served its one and only purpose, to help the child to learn and grow. 2 months later, Miss Carr noticed an improvement in Martha's reading, and she was no longer standing aside from the group. With the help of the parents, she had succeeded in an important phase of her work, to try to clear the roadblocks and to open the path of learning to the mind of the child. Often the roadblocks are invisible, but there are signs that something is in the way. It may be shyness or aggressiveness, lack of response or over-anxiety to please, many attitudes, big and little. They are the attitudes of home and the attitudes of school. Separately, they may mean little, but together they may give an important insight into the child's abilities and his needs. When parents and teachers meet, they discuss these attitudes. They are rarely serious problems. Most children present no serious problems to the teacher. Those who do are referred to special advisors. But to become a member of the community and at the same time to acquire the mental and physical skills of our society presents a job of adjustment to all children. This job can be made easier if the school world and the home world become but one world for the child. And this can only be done if those who guide at home and those who guide in school are agreed in their purposes. This unity is established in the Parent-Teacher Conference.